Inside the Game. It's Tanner time here on Inside the Game. Tanner White joining us talking about Major League Indoor Soccer on the men's and women's side. What's up, brother?
Hey, good morning, guys. So glad to be back. Let me tell you, the most important thing that's happened since we last chatted, got a haircut.
Same.
Nice.
Same here.
Right
Nice.
on.
Me too. Yeah. Look.
You can never tell, right, with the headset on. It happens.
Welcome back in, though, man. How have things been? How have we've been taking a look at some of the standings. Even Ryan and I were chatting a little bit before the show began about what's going on across the league. Still have a couple of undefeated teams on the men's side. Still a couple of undefeated teams on the women's side. Just your take on everything that's gone down since we last chatted.
Yeah, you bet. There are some scary clubs on the top of both sides. I'm with you with MLIS and WMLIS. Boys, let me tell you about my weekend from the WMLIS. So made the trip all the way to Chicago, and I got to see those undefeated Chicago Mustangs. I'm telling you, that team is so fast. They told me, hey, we were watching the Las Vegas games from a couple of weekends ago, and I was chatting with Stephanie Nunez. She's the defending MVP there, the all-time top goal scorer, and she's got all these all-time records, right? And she says, well, watching all these Vegas games, I think that we're playing a lot faster than all these other teams, and I think that we've got an awesome shot here right now. I said, well, go ahead, call your shot then. She's hilarious. She's a great sport about it. But they whomped on Kalamazoo. That's my hometown team, and on Saturday night there, the must split them up 11-4. Was thankful to be on the call for that one, and I was like, man, this team hasn't lost, and I don't know that they ever will. Just indefinitely, they're just whomping on people. Made the trip all the way to Fort Wayne for the next night, and then Kalamazoo took on Fort Wayne again there, and that Kalamazoo side still winless. Towards the bottom of that table there over in the east with WMLIS. Fort Wayne looks like, in all likelihood, they're going to be also in Vegas there in the finals weekend, right? And you're probably talking about them in Chicago, duking it out on that east side. The west of WMLIS, we're pretty sure it's going to come down to Salt Lake City and Phoenix too. Salt Lake City undefeated over there at the top, and on the men's side, I mean, we've talked about the two best clubs up there from what we've seen. Yeah. Cleveland Crunch kind of taken a step back, had 2 consecutive losses in a bad time for them in the season, right? So they're not locked in. Toronto, they beat Fort Wayne, and at 8-0, they have a chance to clinch this weekend. Amarillo, undefeated, same thing. Probably talking about if both of those clubs win, Toronto and Amarillo, that they're going to be the 1 seeds coming out of the North and the South, respectively.
Yeah.
All right, Tanner. So I was doing a game this weekend. I've seen a couple indoor games, and I haven't seen this happening. I didn't even know this thing existed.
Hit me.
What in the world is a blue card? What is that? I've never seen that before until I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday.
Sure. Hilarious. I got to say, we have referees that sometimes think that. We have players that sometimes, okay, what the heck are these cards for? So there's a ton and tons of different things that you can see them enforced for. Too many players, of course, is a big one. But a number of other things that is just beyond a standard foul, but maybe doesn't quite rise to the level of a yellow card. You will see enforced as blue cards. 2-minute power plays, right? So you got to have somebody serve those minutes in the box. And boarding is one that we've started to see enforced more and more. Anytime you kind of, perhaps gently tap somebody into the boards, right? That could happen from time to time. It gets heated, right? To say it nicely as possible. Reckless
charging,
tackle.
cross-checking, all that too.
Sure. Yeah. It sounds a lot like hockey, right, when you say it that way. And there are some hockey type penalties.
That's funny.
That's, again, as long as they don't rise to that level of a yellow. Hilarious that you should say that because, yes, we do have others that, a card gets thrown in a real match and people said, there's a card for that.
Yeah, no, I was thrown off by it. I was
because
I was producing the Rockford Pittsburgh game, and I was like, blue card. I'm like, wait, someone's going out. I haven't been told this before. Like, what's going on? And all of a sudden, they're playing it like as a power play, and I was like, oh well, I guess they're down a man. I think for a couple of minutes. So no, it's definitely a unique aspect of the Major League Indoor Soccer League.
Now, remind me, that was on the goalkeeper, right? I watched a little bit of that game, and I thought that was on the goalkeeper for Pittsburgh. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I think so. It was like a collision in the corner or something, or like just a little bit up the field. But I think so. Yes,
Yeah,
no,
so I guess
yeah,
I'm
you're right. You're
curious.
right, because then a field player had to come in and he was wearing a penny. Yep, you're right. You're right. That makes sense now. Yeah.
Right. That's one
Mm.
of those things we started enforcing this year was goalkeepers serving their own time penalties.
Oh, okay.
And Grant Glorioso up there, awesome guy with Pittsburgh. He's also part of the ownership team. They've got 3 guys who are fantastic players and owners over there with Pittsburgh. And Grant, the goalkeeper, hilarious dude. But so he'll have to serve his own penalty when he gets that card.
Gotcha.
And then, yeah, you got to make that keeper change. If you don't have the reserve keeper, then a lot of times you do throw a defensive player in there and just say, hey, figure it out for the next 2 minutes. Let's survive. Or, of course, we give up a goal and he'll come right back in.
Okay, gotcha.
Is there a situation where there could be a 5-on-3 potentially if you get 2 blue cards? Is that something that happens?
You bet. You bet.
Really?
It hasn't
Wow.
happened.
All right.
Side, 2 stack. You could also get a blue and a yellow stacking on one player if you've got a number of different infractions at one single stoppage. Again, we haven't seen those on either side of MLIS or WMLIS yet, but it is possible.
Interesting. All right. Well, I guess we're learning a lot here, Ryan. I wanted to touch on one of the teams that we had mentioned, Toronto, who has really been really impressive. They have the best goalkeeper. I don't know if it's Philip or Philippe Zendelek, but he's been in goal for them, and he's been outstanding. But 7-0 this year. What are your takes on that team? I feel like they're probably built the best to maybe go win a title, but maybe that's just kind of where I'm coming from. What do you see out of that squad?
I just watched, and Phil Zendelik, I just watched that guy score another goal against Fort Wayne, and I'm like, man, he's another striker out there in addition to the defending goalkeeper of the year. Like, I don't know what you do against this guy.
Yeah.
They're great in possession. They spend a lot of time possessing. They are super physical, and I don't know who's got the game plan to keep them off the board. Now, Amarillo is probably by all means the best defensive squad we've got in the league. And so allowing the fewest goals, and you do the math on them, and you're like, well, Toronto probably wants to play lower scoring tight games too, but they've got this keeper who's a complete wild card, and he's probably, I'm tempted to call him the best all-around player in this league.
Dynamic.
Absolutely, right? The guy is every bit of a top striker and the defending goalkeeper of the year. I don't know what you do. It's tough to say that anybody Toronto meets in the playoffs is really going to take it to them. It's funny because I predicted Amarillo, right, last weekend to repeat, and then now I watched Zendelik in the game that he played in Fort Wayne there, and I thought, man, I don't know.
They got a contender. Yeah.
Tanner, I got a league proposition. I think you guys should change your slogan from "the new era of indoor soccer starts here" to "a lead is not safe. No lead is safe at all." Because I watched a couple games and it's like you have a 4 or 5 goal lead in the first half, and all of a sudden it's tied or you're losing. And especially in the Pittsburgh-Rockford game, Pittsburgh was up 5-1. Ultimately, needed the 9 seconds to equalize. Is this something that happens, often?
I gotta say, there is so much volatility within every single match. Yeah, let's just go ahead and take a look at some of this. And things that happen that turn games around really, really quickly. Goalkeeper changes sometimes. Stacking up the fouls, right? You've got an auto shootout after the 6th foul on one team and a half. PKs, power plays, all of this stuff is just... If you have complaints about the outdoor game, if you say, okay, it's a little bit slow, and sometimes I don't love the outdoor game, that's all fixed. That is all completely taken away here in the indoor game. Again, it's a beautiful game regardless, but truly there is so much volatility within every single match that I think the rules, as we've got them in the rule book now, they make for insane stuff that can happen late in matches. It's really tough to say that anybody's out of it when you've got time on the clock.
Yeah, and that creates that's it's fun to call as a broadcaster. I mean, it's the best ever because it really is fast paced and up and down. And of course, when you talk about scoring goals quickly and pouring it on, it helps to have someone who can do that consistently. And I'm sorry, I got one more team I wanted to ask you about really quickly before we go further into this interview, but that is Orlando. Pair of losses for them, 2 straight right now, but Rafael Tobias is on a roll. I mean, leading the league in goals, leading the league in points. I mean, that kid is special. Is there still room for argument that team can maybe get back into it, get back on the train, and maybe go win a championship? Because I think if you have one of the best goal scorers in the league, you probably give yourself a pretty good chance of being at least in the conversation.
I hear what you mean. Man, Tobias is scary, and I love guys that are super easily identifiable, right? Being broadcasters. The bald head is really, really something that I love to see of that man. When it comes to Orlando, the thing is, just one match left for them. They had a front-loaded schedule. We knew it was going to be, and now I believe they're going to wrap it up with Dallas soon enough. I know that was one that had to get rescheduled and pushed around a little bit. So you've still got Salt Lake City. Here's the thing. On the South side, in the South Conference, there is a lot that could still shake up. You just don't have clinching. Beyond this week and this weekend, we can start to get some clarity. Up until then, not so much. Salt Lake City could go on the run. Technically, Boulder could go on the run. And if Orlando loses that last game in Dallas, we don't expect that. Dallas and Fort Wayne are two winless clubs, right? But say they did. Say Dallas becomes real inspired and they say, no, we're not going to go out without a win here. Say Orlando's got travel issues. They can't have the whole squad that they want there. Then question mark, guys. I'd love to tell you that beyond Amarillo, we really know what's going to happen in that South Conference. Orlando's not in a bad spot because they got up early and they were, at the top of the standings just because they had played more games than everybody else for quite a while. Yeah. And now it's still question marks. Are they a good team? Absolutely. Are they balanced? Absolutely. Solid goalkeeper. You mentioned Tobias has just been lighting it up and is frankly unstoppable even at his age. I could see this Salt Lake City team over in Utah making a run too.
Tanner, just on both the women's side and the men's side, I see goalies like even in the modern game, even outdoor, it seems like you kind of be good with your feet as well. But I feel like that's really emphasized here in the indoor league because you see, some bad passes could ultimately lead to goals and generate some attacks. If you're trying to be a really good goalkeeper in this league, do you have to be better with your feet or do you have to be a better shot stopper?
Oh, boy. It's tough to say that the best aren't doing both. I got to say goalkeepers that take shots. Obviously, Zendelik is a standout. He's an anomaly and enigma with Toronto. There is just nobody quite like it. But I do think that ability to drift out, to come out a little bit higher, and to every once in a while just send in a pretty good ball in the direction of the box, just kind of throw it there and see, hey, can somebody pick this up, take some shots with it. I think that is crucial. I think probably the best teams, you see at least a correlation with having a keeper that gets involved in the attacks. Yes, of course, total brick walls are super valuable, and they always will be and always have been. But, yeah, it's tough to say that it's not an X factor or it's not a big advantage to have a keeper that's great with his feet.
It's funny because the similarities with hockey, it just continue with me because you talk about just putting the ball on the net. Something might happen. You might get a deflection. They call it pucks on net in hockey. That's what they call it, right? You just kind of throw it that direction, might take a deflection. Something might happen, might end up in the back of the net. So are there any, I am curious because you've talked about all the different rules. We talked about the blue card, which I think is a fascinating concept. I think the concept of a power play is really cool because I did some MASL games and I don't even remember that being a thing. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't remember there being a penalty box. I don't remember. Are you guys constantly thinking of new rules and new things that you can maybe try out to test to see, hey, what's the most entertaining product we can possibly create to continue to build this thing? Because I imagine there's a level of experimenting with all of this going on.
There definitely is. We've had talks already at the front office level about making rule changes for next year. Honestly, simplifying our rule book a little bit. There was some carryover from our book to the old Major Arena Soccer League rules, and there's some things that we kind of feel, they're already a little bit archaic. They're already a little bit incongruous with the game that we play right now, and maybe we don't love it. We thought, there is probably a chance that we trim that rule book down, simplify it a little bit. Whatever is better for faster pace of play, more exciting games, I think that's what you have to expect us to do for next season. We'll have and continue to have those chats in our front office and with all of our individual clubs, with all of our expansion clubs that we're expecting, really heavily to get into for the next several years. And I think it is likely that there are some changes coming for next year.
Tanner, are there any matchups that you're looking forward to the most on the women's side and the men's side this weekend?
I am so glad you asked. We are getting best on best over in the WMLIS in the West. You get a rematch with Phoenix and Salt Lake City. That could be a bloodbath. So excited about both of those clubs. Salt Lake City still undefeated there, and they won at Phoenix. The first time these two matched up. Now I'm like, man, flips the other way, and flip a coin. You know what I mean? Our two top goal scoring clubs over there and best goal differentials, and you just watch them both. You say, wow, they're oh so fast. That was what a lot of people noted with those Las Vegas games a couple of weekends ago is there's a clear stratification over there. They watched Phoenix and they watched Salt Lake City and they say, wow, they look different from the other three clubs over there. I am definitely circling that one on my calendar. I think that should be one of the best that the season has to offer. On the men's side, Pittsburgh at Cleveland on Saturday. That's huge. And I tell you, Lansing at Toronto, that's a tricky one. That Lansing squad has played everybody really, really tight. I've gotten to see and call a number of their games myself, and I've really enjoyed that club. I think that here's the thing. What if Toronto were to really have the wheels kind of fall off? Lansing wins there, and then you start to have maybe Pittsburgh shakes it up if they go on the run. Chicago is still in the mix there. There's just very few clubs eliminated. Those are some of the most influential ones that I'm looking forward to. And boy, Cleveland, they've got to right the ship because losing two in a row there when they did, even though they got the one overtime loss, you still pick up a point there. It's like, yeah, but you've got to be in that top two. Everybody's playing for Vegas right now, and losing two at when they did in the season makes it a little bit more tricky. Then you have to actually talk about scenarios.
Well, you talked about it during our first interview with you. Parity is something that's really important, and clearly you guys have that, and it's set up some really exciting matchups here on down the stretch. Tanner, as always, we appreciate you stopping by. Looking forward to chatting again coming up next week. And we're excited to see where this league and these two leagues can go because it continues to. I've seen the product and it's very entertaining, but we got some exciting times coming up. So thank you as always.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Thanks so much, gents.
See you, Tanner.
Appreciate you. It's Tanner White. You're on
soon.
Inside the Game. Alrighty.